I'm Kato. The Lion Guard show surprisingly has its intense and mature moments. Characters die on screen and have funerals. There's attempts of assassination on political leaders. Kion has to confront his own bias and racism a few times because of what he was taught about hyenas and crocodiles. The very first episode, Never Judge a Hyena by Its Spots, tackles the hyena bias set in Return of the Roar and the original 1994 film. In an episode centered around the crocodile leader Makucha. That's not the right person. Okay. In an episode centered around the crocodile leader Maku, a lot of animals try to get him kicked out of the summit for no actual good reason other than he's the crocodile leader, a predator who's protective of his territory. The characters only think he's up to no good because Matoto is interpreting what he hears as evil. It shows the dangers of assumption and how it hurts others because it feeds into bias. What else? There is a drug-addicted binturong who runs a gang of porcupines seeking to hoard medicinal drugs, and also attempts to murder Bunga for destroying said stash of drugs. This isn't an exaggeration. The point is, The Lion Guard can be a more complex show sometimes, even when it isn't marketed or often perceived as such. Season 3 of The Lion Guard dropped with some of the most in-depth looks at Kion and his trauma of his final fight with Scar, his healing journey, and coping mechanisms after therapy. The Lion Guard Season 3 uses Kion as a metaphor for mental health, traumatic events, and recovery. Disclaimer, I am not a medical professional and do not perceive this video as a full guide to traumatic experiences. It's a very complex topic and I'm covering a bare-bones skeleton of it within a world of fiction. At most, The Lion Guard shows baby steps to how trauma occurs, how people heal and struggle with healing, and what it does to self-esteem for the character Kion. Please do your own research if you are struggling with a traumatic event and seek professional help. This is also your spoiler warning for the entirety of The Lion Guard, mostly Season 3 and parts of 1 and 2. Please go watch it before watching this video. This is your sign to watch the show. It's pretty entertaining and I think is a good addition to the Lion King canon in my opinion. I will not recap the seasons, but I really think it's important to know what I'm talking about before watching this video. You can watch it on Disney+. I'm funny. In the pilot episode of The Lion Guard, we learn why the Lion Guard was disbanded until Kion became of age. We'll talk about why that's a little weird. Scar was the last leader of the Lion Guard, but the power got to his head and he plotted to overthrow Mufasa. When his guard tried to stop him, he killed all of them using the roar, losing it forever. This story is laid on Kion pretty heavily in the first episode. Kion is the successor to a murderer, someone who killed his grandfather and traumatized his own father. He vows to never be like Scar, and there are a few episodes discussing his fear of becoming like Scar or committing similar actions.
Roar is a very powerful gift. It can be used for great good, but it can also lead to terrible evil.
Well, I'd never be like Scar. Ever.
In Never Roar Again, Kion sees his mom being attacked and unleashes an emotional roar, nearly killing her. Kion is so horrified at what happens that he never wants to use the roar ever again. He is so afraid of becoming like Scar, he'd rather give up his power completely. He viewed his mistake of setting his emotions into his power as a stumble into evil. In Lions in the Outlands, Zira manipulates Kion into falsely remembering that Scar lost his roar because he roared at other lions, which is a lie. But Kion takes this to heart and refrains from roaring at her, not remembering the truth because he's so afraid of becoming like Scar and losing his roar. Bunga has to remind him that the real reason was murder and not species before he's convinced that it's okay to use his roar on Zira.
Doesn't matter, Zira! Go ahead, Kion! Use the roar! I can't. That's how Scar lost the roar. He used it against lions. Pfft, that's not why he lost it. It was because he used it for evil. Remember Rafiki's paintings? Of course. You're right.
Also, he's like 12, so Kion's age is a bit ambiguous because he never grows a full mane in Season 3 to show that he is an adult lion. But he also kind of gets married. This is mostly because if Kion was to have a full mane, he would lose what makes him Kion, specifically in merchandise. Though Season 3 has no official merch, thanks live-action Lion King, if Kion has no mane, he's just Simba. If Kion has a full mane in Season 3, he's Simba again but with a scar, making that confusing to the marketable public who don't have the context. It ties into physical characteristics like scars being connected to evil automatically, ironic considering how Kion feels evil after he receives one. The compromise of character design is the pompadour, intriguing enough to see a relation with Simba but still being his own character. Plus, not every lion can actually grow a full mane, it has to do with testosterone levels. I think older teenager is the best guess, or aligning his age with the age of his voice actor, which puts Season 3 Kion around 16 to 17, and season 1 and 2 Kion at about 12. So they put a 12-year-old and his friends in charge of the border patrol of an entire country. This is a shit ton of pressure to put onto a child, and this is the only time a Lion Guard leader this young has happened. Minus season 3 where Kion ages up, the Lion Guards prior have always been adults or young adults. We can see this from the cave paintings. Since Kion's guard is getting painted not too far into their career, why is it that only adult lions are present in the rest of the paintings? If this was a timing thing, the other guards wouldn't have been far into their career either. Yet, every one of them here is visually fully grown. Breaking the fourth wall here, I understand that they have to have a main character that is a young child because it is a young child audience. But within the canon, the great kings of the past totally just enlisted its first child soldiers, not even waiting for Kion to grow up. And Kion does eventually grow up, and that's when things begin to unravel. Scar plots to give Kion a scar across his eye in the battle for the Pride Lands, in the exact way he got his own scar at the same age. Which is a stupid and needlessly complicated plan, but I have a point, I promise. Scar's evil is explained in the show through his scar. He was bit by a snake and never received treatment for the venom. So instead, he lived the rest of his life poisoned and unable to know right from wrong. I mean, he was probably always a bit of an asshole, he just started his murder spree after the venom. Scar's body count is 6, by the way, you might not have known that. First, Strange Lion, then the quadruple kill, and then finally Mufasa. Scar is quite aware that he is very much so unfavored by the vast majority of the Pride Lands, scorned upon in their history as this massive dictator. Scar, being also aware that Kion is afraid of becoming like him. What a better way to gain an upper hand in the war than to disfigure the other leader's face and poison him with the same mind-altering venom that you are mentally affected by, so he looks and now acts like you. He already has Yushari in his arsenal, he may as well use him. Here's where we get to season 3 properly now. It's the final battle, and the Lion Guard enter the volcano, which is what Scar wants as he is targeting Kion. And the plan works. The venom takes effect very quickly. Kion cannot think straight for a moment. Scar, meanwhile, is mocking Kion with the very first song of the series.
Sisi Nisawa, Kion. Now, you have a scar, just like me. Sisi Nisawa means we're the same, though you're made of flesh, and I'm made of flame.
Did Jonja teach him Sisi Nisawa? No. This is a season 1 episode 1 song. For only getting revived at the beginning of season 2, he knows enough to make an entire parody. I'm gonna go with the headcanon that Jonja gets this song stuck in his head a lot because he's thinking about Jasiri, and not that the Outlands have a karaoke night in which they teach Scar all the songs heard throughout the series. Scar keeps affirming that now they're both the same. Sisi Nisawa. The mark of evil, just like him. This one line of dialogue reveals many things about Scar. Scar sincerely believes that he was always destined to be evil because of his scar. This also suggests that someone else told him this information, this idea of a mark of evil. It was likely the Strange Lion, who had Scar himself and committed the same evil deed. Within the song describing the incident, Strange Lion points directly to his own. With this idea now in his head, Scar's mind is unclear, and it remains that way throughout Scar's life. He feels he can't help it. He was destined to destroy, there is no other choice. Kion gets very close to giving in before he catches himself with Mufasa's wisdom, and says,
I forgive you.
You what?
I forgive you. Me and my friends memed this to hell, because who says that to a masked murderer? But it's whatever, Kion breathes Scar into hell forever. Also, Bunga kills Yushari. And you see the fucking splash, oh my god. Okay, I need you to see this. Pay attention to the inside of the red circle. There. What the fuck? Anyways, Kion arrives at a very particular location after this. If you remember from when I led the guard, this is where Scar killed his guard and lost the roar. This is the rock that splits apart in that scene. This choice of background is how I know this is at least somewhat intentional, and maybe it's because of this location that Kion finds his face hurting. Finding the nearest reflection, Kion sees himself for the first time. He sees his scar, his mark of evil. He begins to hyperventilate. His thoughts are racing to the point where he can't hear Bunga.
Heavy Kabisa. The mark. It's just like Scar's.
Kion!
Could Scar be right? Am I destined to turn evil? Just like he did?
Hey, Kion, come on, hurry up!
What if the roar really is a curse?
Kion!
His emotions affect the roar again. He can't control his emotions after seeing himself branded with the symbol of everything he fought so hard against. It becomes clear Rafiki can't help him. He knows what it is, and he knows that it won't be good. He's seen this injury before. And without treatment, Kion won't be the same again. Except, there is an option. A mysterious location far away where injured animals go to heal and be safe. The Tree of Life. The guard goes on a convenient journey to get out of the way in order for Simba's pride to happen. Before Kion leaves, Rafiki gives Makini a special purple flower called Taliza. Makini is instructed to use it if Kion becomes irritable. It helps him calm down, but it's expressed to not be a cure. I believe this is a stand-in for medication, like a painkiller or antidepressant. Kion is shown suffering without it. His frustration and mood swings are often forces of conflict in the next few episodes. They really emphasize how much Kion can't think clearly if he hasn't had it in a while. The Mama Binturong episode solidifies this idea in a disturbing way. The animals in the forest are terrified of just even the word, because of a powerful mob boss referred to as Mama Binturong, who controls all Taliza in a giant stash. She doesn't need it, she just finds it delicious. Knowing that this is a medicinal herb that calms your brain, and she runs a literal mafia of porcupines to reinforce her reign, it solidifies the idea that this is indeed a stand-in for a particularly sought-after medication. Her theme even calls to classic mafia movies such as The Godfather.
Yes, dear. What is it?
Bunga eats some and she goes fucking feral. Her teeth change, her fur puffs up, and her pupils shrink. She has a problem. I love her. Friends to the End has Kion at his worst in both anger and depression. Kion seems to be at a point of no return. The Taliza has stopped working as an effective treatment. Kion is likely becoming immune to it because of overuse. Bunga is the first one to point this out, as Kion becomes increasingly irritated with distractions. Bunga mentions what Rafiki had said about Kion changing because of the venom.
Of course he would! This is what I've been talking about! It's all happening right now, just like Rafiki said!
What's just like Rafiki said?
He said if the venom stays inside you too long, you won't know the difference between right and wrong!
Yeah, but
And it's happened! You've been acting mean all day!
I have?
You did tell us not to stop and help.
You knocked over that peacock.
And scared that clouded leopard.
And worst of all, you yelled at Veshti! Sorry, buddy. You're turning evil.
You really think I'm evil?
Totally! But don't feel bad, you can't help it! It's your scar!
Guys? You all think I'm turning evil?
Well,
I don't know if I'd say evil.
No!
Yeah.
Don't listen to Bunga. Nobody thinks you're evil. And once we get to the Tree of Life...
Unless it's too late. Good Kion might be gone forever.
I'm not evil! Or maybe I am.
Kion has to run away from his friends. He has been internalizing what Scar said to him since that day. It's likely the reason why he hasn't been able to focus or think right. He feels like he can't talk to his grandfather because of his resemblance to Scar, Mufasa's murderer. He finds himself dangling off the edge into believing it himself. He is no better. The guard has to save him from falling, and he apologizes for his anger and unkindness. They end the episode with Kion resting as opposed to continuing to travel, but this rest does not prove effective in healing. The guard arrives to the Tree of Life and eventually gets accepted in. They get to the Queen to tell Kion and Ono what they need to be healed.
Ono, healing your sight will be simple, but the remedy will take a few days to prepare.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
Kion, your ailments are more complicated. It is more than just a scar. Your healing will take time.
The elements are more complicated. Jana is very right when she says it's not just a scar. Kion starts his healing process with Nirmala. He expresses wanting to be healed very, very quickly. To counteract this, she reteaches him his patience. Kion has to wait for a log to wash down the river, jump on it, and ride to a bank and retrieve a flower. He really struggles with this at first and gets frustrated, waiting and failing over and over. Days pass before he's able to focus and reach his goal. The flower ends up getting trampled during a fight, but Nirmala expresses that the flower wasn't the point. The fact that Kion could wait and focus on a task was something he struggled with on the journey there. Nirmala's lesson here is that the quickest way isn't always the best way. Healing takes time. It's unrealistic to expect a quick recovery from a traumatic event such as what Kion went through. But something isn't right. We spend an entire journey to get here, and Nirmala's teaching techniques are to have a bunch of frogs jump on Kion, have a look at a river till a log runs by, spear some mud on his face, and look at a lake until he thinks about something else. These don't really align with what we'd expect from healing a scar on the eye. Rafiki heals a lot of animals in the show from incredibly serious things. Simba got stung by a deadly scorpion, and they just so happen to have a volcano nearby to help with this. Yushari is a native cobra to the Pride Lands. You would think Rafiki would have an antidote to his venom. Bunga got bit by Yushari once, and Rafiki was very calm about it because Bunga ends up getting immune to snake bites, but it's strange that Rafiki couldn't do anything about Kion. There seems to be something different about getting a scar from a snake as opposed to a bite. It's different enough to warrant a long journey to another location, but yet they never used the Tree of Life to heal Kion. Yes, the magical healing tree that takes a several episode journey is never used once to heal the protagonist. We only see it used to partially heal Ono's blindness, a physical injury. Kion's scar is also a physical injury, but that's the thing. It is visually a scar, physically a scar, but the only treatment Kion receives for his injury is a mud mask on the face. And I don't know if you noticed, but the Pride Lands have mud. Everywhere has mud. It's mud. Rafiki has even used mud to heal before, so why didn't he do that here? Why of all characters is Rafiki unable to heal Kion to the point of where he has to send them away to another? Now there's probably a difference in soil content and properties, however, I think it's because he genuinely can't. Rafiki stands in as an advisor as well as a doctor in medicine. He treats injured animals, but a medical doctor is not a therapist. Rafiki can only prescribe a treatment, but can't provide a cure. He can't provide Kion the emotional and mental support that he needs. Kion's not weakening because he's poisoned. In fact, it's shown to be the opposite. Kion is suffering from trauma. Instead of Rafiki, Nirmala acts as a therapist, leading sessions and exercises that will mentally help Kion heal. Because Kion can't physically heal. What happened to him is permanent. The next Kion-focused episode is the Lake of Reflection. The episode begins with Kion's failed attempt to lead. This really isn't his fault. He's just not used to having another team being led by someone else at the same time, and things get interfered. After the fight, Rani tells him to just listen to her and not give instruction, but take it, much to the objection of the Lion Guard. But Kion agrees with Rani. He doesn't feel like he can lead or focus on leading right now. He no longer has the confidence he used to. He focuses on the fact that he wasn't able to control the roar, thinking that this made him the leader he used to be. Fuli talks to Rani about Kion's healing.
Rani, can we talk?
Of course, Fuli. What's wrong?
Kion doesn't seem to be getting better.
Well, Nirmala did say his healing would take time.
But he's even worse than when he got here. He's totally lost his confidence. Are you sure Nirmala knows what she's doing?
My grandmother trusted Nirmala to become the healer at the Tree of Life. You should trust her too.
Okay, if you say so.
Kion has gotten worse. He's unconfident, likely because he hasn't been able to lead or use the roar in a long period of time. He doesn't know it yet, but Nirmala is almost done guiding him, and he needs to be the one to rediscover himself. Within the Lake of Reflection, Kion must look at himself. He sees his scar, swatting at his reflection in frustration. He expresses how much he can't wait for it to be gone. An important question is asked by Nirmala.
Kion, what if your scar never goes away? But that's the whole reason I'm here, to heal my scar, so I can be my old self again.
What if your scar never goes away? What if the mark stays? What will he do about it? He will always have the likeness of who he feared. Forever. Kion wants to be his old self again, but he needs to accept his change and move forward with it. Kion goes into depression for a large part of this episode. He isolates himself to reflect upon who he is. How much did the scar really change?
Kion? This is your therapy?
They said it. It is therapy. Fuli and Rennie share their worries about Kion together. Rennie has a very good quote here.
Fuli, you should know, I'm worried about Kion's healing too.
What do you mean?
We all want him to get better, but maybe this is as healed as he's going to get.
Maybe this is as healed as he's going to get. Kion is facing his own mental block. He must reflect to remember the truth, as he's had to before. He didn't remember the rules of the roar, so Zero was able to manipulate him. He currently doesn't remember a time where he didn't have the roar. Unfortunately, this is where the episode reaches a peak before it has to remind you that it is a Disney Junior show and they have a song. Now, I don't normally complain about songs from the Lion Guard. They're pretty good, but this one's grating to me. It's just too repetitive. At least it's short, but then they bring back the Muppet Babies versions of all the characters, and the voice acting is so bad. It's just the grown voice actors doing weird baby voices and lisps. I have to skip this section because it's just cringe. At least Anga's a good singer. They should have utilized her better. But it helps Kion remember, and the next time help is needed, he's able to spring into action and lead for the first time in a while. The fight is successful because he was able to have control and lead. Bunga causes Aura to cough up blood. Fuck, dude, this feels like it needs an honorable mention on the "what are you gonna do, cancel us more" examples, because this is fully rendered blood in my Disney Junior show. It's hard to say that this is an animation error, because what would cause such a thing? The version of Disney Plus shows it as spit, so what happened here? If you know how this would happen, please let me know. I'm genuinely curious. Anyways, Kion comes to the conclusion that he doesn't need the roar, and he wants to give it back. He could always lead without it. You could say it's a return of the roar. Yeah, I'm funny. He is instructed to seek where the roar was made. Sika Escarpment. There, he's greeted by the first Lion Guard leader, Ascari. Well, he looks like this, but I had already made this art, and I really wanted to share it because it's pretty. You should, follow my art account on Instagram at KatoArt. I'm opened up for commissions at this point, so that's pretty cool. Ascari teaches Kion everything the roar can do. In Triumph of the Roar, this becomes another part of his healing. Kion cannot be afraid to use his power. He cannot be afraid of what happened in the past when he has. By being able to practice, Kion learns many other things about the roar and becomes comfortable again. The goal is to fully understand it in order to move on. He basically becomes the Avatar. Kion finally uses the roar, as he's able to control it precisely thanks to his training. Everyone dies in a tornado. A fun detail I noticed when they say goodbye. Rennie sets her paw on everyone's shoulder opposite to their guard marks, which foreshadows them staying at the Tree of Life and gaining the tree mark. She does this to everyone except Kion, because Jonna had already done that for him before she passed away. Man, they care about this show so much. I love it. A divisive part of the final episode is that Vitani made her own Lion Guard as she is Kovu's sister. But now the original guard is back. Vitani calls for a Mosh and Dano, which is a lore-relevant crocodile leader fight, and it's so badass for Vitani to do this. I actually like her depiction here. I think she actually just got a proper bath after the war, so she's not mad at anymore like she was in Lion King 2. Kion explains to her that because he has the roar, she likely will not win. But she says that she actually doesn't need it at all.
I don't need the roar, Kion. I'm fierce enough to lead the Lion Guard without it.
She's fierce enough to be without it. This gives Kion the ultimate decision to give her the roar in the first place. That mindset of leadership and understanding took Kion a whole season to figure out, and an unexpected ally, Vitani, had it all along. This was her destiny, and Kion's to give. Kion forfeits the position of Lion Guard to Vitani, and the mark to go with it. The roar became hers. Whether she chose to use it or not, it was time for a new Lion Guard. Yay, the end. Don't keep watching. Oh no. Yeah, so they undermine the entire message of everything in this short scene because Kion keeps the roar. By giving it away. He keeps it. By letting it go. It's still his. Because once again, Disney Junior show. I do not think he should still have it. He did not want it anymore, but oh well, I guess we keep in roars now. Kion lifts Pride Rock several feet in the air to prove a point. Man, that's not cool. Your parents live there. I wouldn't lift my parents' house high in the air as a cool trick. That's fucked up. I like this ending. Most people I find that don't like it kind of give me 4 female Ghostbusters? The feminists are taking over. I'm an adult virgin. Energy. It's good and well to dislike something, but definitely come up with a better criticism than Vitani didn't deserve it because Kion is better. If I can change as a person and recognize subtle accidental misogyny, you can too. So these videos might not be around for too long. I really fundamentally disagree with them now. They haunt me. They're garbage. I have grown. Tangent over. Ultimately, We end Kion's healing journey with acceptance. Kion learns to accept himself, but not in the way Scar wanted him to. Not accepting the mark of evil, but the destiny that leads him to give up the roar entirely. He will always have a scar, but it does not define him. We come to learn that there is no cure. There never was one. There can't be. No plant or magical healing tree can change what happened to Kion or heal it for him. It's something he has to live with forever and heal himself. A mark. A reminder that he survived. Scars still heal, even if they don't go away. They close up after time, only supplemented by care, support, and encouragement. Scar may have never had this, or if he did, he willfully ignored it in favor of the destiny the strange lion put upon him. His wounds and bitterness remained open for the rest of his life. Accepting the wrong solution to his injury, Scar makes for a foil to Kion, a glimpse at what could have happened if Kion did not receive the help he needed. It makes you wonder if Scar could have been saved from this, if he could have been healed from what had unjustly happened to him, if that cycle of injustice could have stopped earlier and we could have had a different story. Sisi Nisawa. We are the same, but our outcomes are different. This was a beautiful end to this show. It's a common opinion that Scar's inclusion to the show was very clear pandering by Disney. I mean, it was, but it really changed this show for the better. The Lion Guard went from having a villain of the week to dissecting the creation of evil and the cycles of generational trauma and violence. We see this kid grow into a leader, plunged into a horrible depression, and re-emerge changed for the best. We see Kion break this cycle and grow into his role until he passes it down to someone equally worthy. The pain of the past, forever marked upon his brow. He bears it. With his friends, partner, and now kingdom. Jesus, this took me so long to make. This entire analysis has been in my mind forever, and I'm really excited to be able to share it. Yay! I don't really have anything else planned. This kind of took my an entire few years to make, so I don't know whether you should expect more from me in the future, in case I figure out something else, but generally, I don't know, I just really hope people enjoyed this one and they don't go keep watching Renee Sucks, because I cannot do that. Something I really want to do in the future is gather up all of my Night Pride stuff and grab some of my friends who are also in it and just kind of talk about the insanity that was within that entire thing, because I think it's been long enough that the people should know. It's not really going to be like a dramatic kind of reading like I did initially, where I took things seriously. In those kind of cases, I wouldn't talk about the more serious aspects of things, just the insanity of how, like, immature things were. And because I can fully laugh about this now, and a lot of people can, so just look forward to that in the future. Alright, see you around. Goodbye.